Beard. I'm here with Clearsulting today. I'm the Record to Report practice lead to talk about an executive dashboard view that we've developed to help bridge the gap between where we oftentimes see Record to Report technologies not make it all the way to the level of detail that a lot of our executives need to be dynamic actors in a technology-enabled world. So what we're going to go through today is really just a brief introduction into something we've developed and we're able to customize for various clients, be able to get to those real-time insights as you're managing the close, or if you're looking to improve upon what worked, what didn't work in previous close cycles. And that's really the outcome of what we're intending to give you that inside look to. And Jared is going to bring us around into the technology itself to give us that key insight. Over to you, Jared.
Thanks, Dylan. Hello, everyone. I'm Jared Rule. I'm a solution architect here at Clearsulting, focusing on automation and analytics, and have the pleasure of being the lead developer on the content that we will be showing here shortly. All right. So this is our executive close status view. This is the intended landing page for really any executive that wants to be taking a real-time pulse on the status of close. We contrast that with more of a performance view, which we'll show in a bit, where we're looking across periods. We're looking, months, quarters, years of history to really determine how we're performing in our close process, amongst others. So what we have here is we're just looking at the current period, and this is our pulse on what's happening.
So Jared, unlike some of the views that we have in some of our out-of-the-box dashboards, show me how we can get to the view from a region or from a various managerial group, our shared service center, those kind of slices. Is that what we're seeing on the right of the screen?
We are. Right now in this case, we're seeing it by a regional area, kind of like a business unit sort of thing. That being said, one of the big advantages to this sort of platform and solution is that we have a tremendous amount of flexibility. As we know, no two businesses operate the same way or assess business performance the same way. And that's where something like this really shines, because we have the ability to slice it by any dimension that we capture in our Record to Report technology.
So said a different way is, as long as the data can be fed into a tool like this, we can slice by those dimensions and we can provide these landing pages to really get at the heart of the information that'll be most meaningful for you as a decision maker.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So mainly highlighting here, we're looking at, where are we at in our close process compared to where do we plan on being? Where we are, that's a fairly standard thing that, can be reported on in most R2R technologies, but where we thought we would be, we can get a little more artful to then express things like, are we ahead or behind? And really being able to plot out visually our close timeline and when our volume of tasks are due, checklist items are due, high-level milestones that we want to hit. Really, where's our pencils down date, and how are we doing progressing towards that? Additionally, the point earlier, we really want to see within a specific dimension here, like within Atlanta, we can go down a level if we really want to take and draw some really actionable insight, and get very tactical about, who, what, where, when, how. This is an easy facilitation for that, where we see the same information, but now within Atlanta, we see our teams. We can see here tax has a pretty high level of unprepared past due tasks, and we see the people too, who has the volume, who's late, and who has more things to do.
So I think what this is really getting at and illustrating is we can drill down to the level of granularity that we bring into the tool. Now, those on the phone may not need to go to this level of granularity where they're seeing named individuals associated with lateness. Maybe that level by department is enough to kind of give you the right insight as to who to follow up with or who to address a critical need. But just knowing that if the data is there, we can harness it, I think is the main takeaway of a page like this. So the entry point is that for this data that we're looking at today with Jared, this is based in Blackline reports. But those kinds of technologies, we can leverage any data point that comes out in reporting to provide similar views.
Absolutely. So we've talked about status, our real-time pulse, since what we've showed up to this point. But as I mentioned earlier, we want to be able to look not just at the current period, but across periods for similar sort of things like timeliness and just our performance and how our people and our teams and our business units have performed, what we've done well, what we haven't done well, and what we need to do to close the gaps. So sticking with the theme of Atlanta, I'm going to go launch into different sort of look here, where instead of just looking at 1231, just one period, we're going to be looking across many periods, across years potentially worth of information. And I want to call attention to the way we're using this color gradient to show amongst our teams how timely are they. And the more orange you see, that's really meant to draw your attention. The bigger potential problem is at that team in terms of timeliness.
And then there can be some drivers here, right? Like if we think about what insights could I draw from the fact that tax is our most guilty of being a bit late in our closing cycle. So we can think about all of the downstream activities that we require tax input to actually be able to close our books. And so this might drive us into some upstream reasons as to why that might be the case. It could be a resourcing constraint, or it could be something as simple as we're not capturing the right due dates for the tasks that they're responsible for. So I've seen in history and talking with clients that oftentimes we build a bit of numbness toward lateness, toward the red tasks in our queue. And this can help us make sure we're right sizing the actual due dates so that people are set up for success and we can actually enforce that red late status being something that we would want to avoid rather than just brush under the rug. So this is, again, putting the tools in the hands of the decision makers to drive meaningful change across our close process.
Absolutely. Right, so we've taken a look at both close status as well as close performance. So moving on even to maybe even a more granular, maybe a little bit different of a component that we have here is looking specifically at our account reconciliation metrics. And so one of the things that people are interested in knowing is how automated are our processes, and could they be automated further than they are? So when I look here, when I'm thinking in terms of auto certification, so there's going to be my account reconciliations that did not require manual intervention. They're in effect automated. So we can see that over half are not currently automated. Additionally, we can look within those that are, we can see, well, what was the quality of the automation? It's one thing to have an auto certification or an automation when the account has no balance or no activity. And another to say, okay, this was a true automation where we have a subledger match, or as we're calling it here, reconciliation match, which is very important information to know, even beyond, okay, was it manual or automated? And if it was automated, how good was the automation?
Jared, let me ask you a question. So if I'm sitting here with coming off the back of an implementation and that implementation achieved 60, 70% automation out the gate, will this type of tool be able to help me measure against a goal? Because I oftentimes want to make sure that what we achieved at the onset of a project or the introduction of a record report enabling technology is maintained or surpassed over time, rather than letting bad behaviors seep back into the organization, or just overall the change of our business start pushing down automation over time.
Absolutely. Speaking again to one of the major benefits of something like this being flexibility, we saw something similar at the beginning when we looked at kind of this deficit. Like we have a target, it's 45%, we're not there, it's 40%. So by analogy here, these are the sort of things that we're customizing and building all the time. And something like this, we can input a target. Maybe our target is, I think I heard 67%. We can input that as a value here and then baseline our performance against that formulaically. Yeah.
Thanks.
I think lastly here, another reconciliations tend to be pretty multi-dimensional, lots of things to look at. So when we think about open items within an account reconciliation, particularly those that require an adjustment, that tends to be a very key focus area, very key risk area that our customers and clients or executives want to really understand what's occurring there. So what we're showing here is in a pretty simple table, but in a pretty impactful way, is just age buckets. How old are these items? When do they originate versus where are we looking at them from? And then looking at both nominal values as well as absolute values. We could have a situation where we've got lots of items, debits and credits, they're washing together, and it looks like we're not really having an impact, but there may be more of a story to tell there when we look at them on an absolute basis, where we can sum up and really see the true volume of the activity and the relative risk associated with these required adjustments.
And that use case is really meaningful to me because I've heard clients talk about this from a health of the balance sheet perspective, that absolute value metric is really important. So again, this just illustrates that we have the ability to really get at the metrics that matter to our organization without being stuck in the static approach of the CAN dashboards. The CAN dashboards are going to have a lot of value initially, but as we mature as an organization that's leveraging these kinds of technologies, this is a great step forward that we can really harness your data and make sure that you're able to make good, quick decisions, whether it's walking into a boardroom, walking into a closed report out, or just overall adopting an optimization mindset so you're able to continuously push your systems to be able to perform at their utmost. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully this has sparked some interest, maybe some additional conversations you'd like to have around the possibilities within these visualization tools. We have an email inbox here that we'd encourage you to reach out to Clearsulting, and we're happy to have those conversations and looking forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much for spending time with us today.